This Lamington Swiss roll is an Aussie classic reimagined. It's a gorgeous cake packed full of really yummy things. It starts off with a delicate vanilla cake which is rolled up with freshly whipped cream and raspberry jam. Then it's topped with a chocolate glaze and sprinkled with shredded coconut. Trust me, you're going to want to try this cake. It just has everything chocolate lovers love. Let's begin with the cake. So you're going to be adding some all-purpose flour, baking powder, and some salt through a sift into a medium-sized mixing bowl, and we're going to whisk all of that together. Then you're going to separate 4 large eggs, so yolks into one and egg whites into the other bowl. Make sure when you're doing this you don't get any yolks in the egg whites, otherwise they're not going to whip up properly. Pop your whites into a large clean mixing bowl and you're going to use an electric hand mixer to whisk these up until they're nice and frothy. Then add your caster sugar slowly while the mixer is on high speed and whisk until you reach nice thick glossy peaks. Add the yolks along with some sugar and vanilla bean paste to another mixing bowl, and you're going to whisk these for about 3 minutes until the mixture becomes thick and pale. Then you're going to add half of the egg white meringue mixture into the yolk mixture, gently fold that through, then add the other half and repeat. Pour your dry ingredients in there and fold it through until you can't see any dry ingredients showing. Lastly, we're going to be adding some melted butter, which I've melted on the stove and then allowed to cool to room temperature. Pour it on top. I like to pour it around the sides and then fold that through. I have a 12 by 17 inch baking tray, which I'm just going to spray with some oil and line with some baking paper. We're going to pour that batter on top of there and then spread it out gently because you don't want to get rid of the air bubbles that you've just whipped into the batter. This is going to go in the oven to bake for 10 minutes or until it's golden. Keep an eye on it because you don't want this to overbake. Once it's baked, you want to make sure that you have all of the next things ready because everything happens super quickly. So I'm going to gently run a knife around the sides just to help loosen the cake. Then we're going to add some powdered sugar on top, a large piece of baking paper, and a large chopping board. This is going to help us flip it over, and then we're going to peel away the baking paper that this cake baked with. Now, the baking paper that we just added underneath, we're actually going to use that to roll our cake up. Now, the cake is really hot still because it's just come out of the oven. While it's cooling at room temperature, the cake is going to keep that rolled up shape so that this rolls up better and stays together when we're finishing it up. While the cake is cooling, you want to whip your heavy cream by adding it to a bowl with some vanilla bean paste. We're going to whip that to stiff peaks. Now, see how when I unroll the cake, it doesn't have any cracks. It almost looks like something that wants to roll back up. You can see those little creases. It's that reason that we actually roll it up when it's hot and let it cool down. So it's going to roll up nicely when we fill it. Speaking of filling, we're going to be adding some raspberry jam. I made my own homemade version, but you can just use raspberry jam that's store-bought. Just make sure it's seedless or run it through a sieve to get rid of the seeds. Once you've spread it around, add the cream on top and spread that around as well. Now you can see on one end to the left, I've actually left a 1-inch gap because as we roll this, we're going to be spreading that filling out and we want to make sure that it doesn't spill out when we get to the end. Rolling it up is easy. I'm actually using the baking paper to help me do this. We're going to wrap this in some plastic wrap and let it chill in the fridge just so that it can set and everything can get to know each other. While that's sitting in the fridge, let's prepare the glaze. So this is really easy. We're going to add some powdered sugar, cocoa powder to a large mixing bowl, and we're going to whisk that up. Add some milk, a little knob of butter, and we're going to pop this in the microwave to melt. And once everything is whisked and well combined, we're ready to put everything together. So unwrap your delicious cake from the fridge, from the plastic wrap, and pop this on top of a cooling rack with a baking tray underneath. Pour your glaze on top and spread it around so that it covers all of the cake. Then to finish it off, add some shredded coconut, and guys, if you've never had Lamingtons before, they're just simply divine. Like all of these flavors, the chocolate, the jam, the cream, that soft vanilla cake, it's really something special, and I'd encourage you guys to try this recipe. It's over on my website. Link for that is in the description box below. Thank you so much for joining me in my kitchen today. If you'd like to see any other recipes from me, let me know in the comments down below. I've also got some videos up on screen right now that you can continue watching on this channel. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you all on the next episode of the Scran Line.